Hi guys, Dr. Rob Barrington here with some more nutritional advice. I wanted to talk about whey protein today, and in particular I wanted to talk about Lambert's whey protein. This is the protein that I've bought for my own use, and I've been buying it for quite a long time. And I've recently bought some, and I went to mix it with water like I normally do for my post-workout drink, and I noticed it didn't mix in water, and thought that was strange. So I tried mixing it again. I took some more, and again it didn't mix, and I thought, well, this is strange. I've never had a problem with this before. So I had a look at the packaging. And I noticed that the packaging has changed and the ingredients have changed. I've got the tubs here. This is the old whey protein that I used to buy. This is my whey protein that I've now finished. There's nothing in here. And this, which is almost full, is the new whey protein. And the labels look very similar, but they have changed the formula. I phoned Lambert's and I asked them, and they have actually changed suppliers, and they've changed therefore the formula. What I noticed was in the ingredients of the old whey protein, there is whey protein concentrate, whey protein isolate, and then there's soya lecithin, which is there to help the whey mix with water. If we look at the ingredients on the new whey protein, what we find is there's actually soy protein in this protein, and that would explain why it doesn't mix with water. What they've actually done is change suppliers, and I think that supplier is now putting soy protein to a certain extent in the formula, and in essence watering down the whey protein. Now, another reason to suspect that, I did try and communicate with Lambert's and ask them if they'd put soy in it, but they wouldn't tell me, or whether they knew or they didn't know. I don't know, but they were obfuscating the answer. So I deduced that they have put soy in it from the ingredients. They've also added branched chain amino acids, and that would maybe explain some other of the reasons why they've had to add these branched chain amino acids, is because if you're mixing different proteins, you might upset the branched chain amino acid profile of the protein, and therefore you might have to add extra amino acids. So the addition of extra amino acids on the ingredients, the branched chain amino acids, may suggest that this formula is not as good as the original whey protein. I would suggest this protein is useless as a whey protein supplement because it doesn't mix with water. No matter what is in it, whether there's soy in it or not, I can no longer recommend Lambert's whey protein because it doesn't mix with water. And one of the best ways to take whey protein after your workout is to mix it with water so it gets into your system quickly. If you can't do that, what is the point of buying a whey protein? Another thing to consider, if you look at your whey protein and you see there's soy in it, I don't like soy in my whey protein. I don't want to buy soy protein. If I wanted to buy soy protein, I would buy soy protein. When I buy whey protein, I want to buy whey protein. One of the other problems with putting soy in whey protein sneakily is that you don't know the source of the soy. Soya can be 90% of the world's soya is genetically modified. We don't know where the soy has come from. It could have come from a genetically modified source, and certainly I wouldn't recommend eating any genetically modified foods. So if your whey protein has soya in it and you don't know the source of that, I would suggest you give careful thought as to where that may have come from, because if it's genetically modified, there's plenty of evidence that genetically modified foods are damaging to your health. So because Lambert's were not forthcoming with any information on this, and they couldn't tell me definitively whether it had soy in it or how much soy was in it, the ingredients are quite ambiguous. They're quite difficult to decipher, but the fact that they've had to add extra branched chain amino acids to me would suggest that they've actually created inferior product and they're trying to fortify it back up to the levels of the original whey. Obviously the amino acid profile has changed from the original whey protein. There's more carbohydrate in it now, which is obviously not what you don't want in a whey protein. You want more protein, and the other things that have changed as well, for example, the salt content has almost doubled. You know, it's I think an inferior product now, but the fact that it doesn't mix in water is a big turn off straight away for me. So I used to recommend Lambert's. I thought they were a good product. I don't any longer recommend their whey protein. This is the unflavoured. It might be that the other the flavoured whey protein is different, but this is the unflavoured. It's their new formula, and to me this is now an inferior product and it's not worth buying. So I will be going on the internet and I will be looking around for a new whey protein, one that contains whey protein, because if I buy whey protein, I want whey protein. This video really, if you do consume whey protein and you consume it after your workout, it's always worth keeping an eye on the label. Manufacturers do change suppliers, and if your whey protein does have soy in it, you might want to ask yourself, why does it have soy in it? Some people want soy as a protein source. That's fair enough. Personally, I don't have soy in my diet, and I wouldn't do unless it was from a fermented source. And again, we don't know that the soy in this is from a fermented source, and non-fermented soy has particular enzymes in it that can inhibit metabolic pathways in humans. And non-fermented soy, there is no real evidence in the scientific literature that non-fermented soy is beneficial to the health. The inference is that because tofu and miso and all the other fermented soy products are good for the health, then any soy is good for the health, and that doesn't follow, I'm afraid. Really, if you're going to consume soya, you need to make sure that it's from a traditional source. All the populations around the world that consume soy traditionally in their diets, they consume fermented products that have had the enzymes and all of the various metabolic inhibitors within soya. The fermentation process breaks those down, so the soya is safe. And I wouldn't recommend consuming soya generally, particularly because of this genetically modified problem. We don't know a lot of the time where soya has come from, and therefore it could have come from genetically modified sources, and it's always worth taking the route of caution rather than risking it, in my opinion, because there is a lot of evidence that these soya products are quite dangerous. And you've got to look in the ingredients of other foods as well. Soya is added to many foods, including tuna, and it's on the label as textured vegetable protein. If you go and have a look at your tuna, particularly the cheaper ones, things like tuna flakes, they often have textured vegetable protein added, and that's just watering down the tuna with soya. Because soya is cheap, and the manufacturers don't care. Nobody reads the labels. It tastes the same, so they just throw it in. And this is another example of food inflation. If you add cheap protein to an expensive whey protein, you're effectively watering the product down. But even if that's not true, the fact that it doesn't mix with water, even if it was the same amino acid profile, even if it was the same protein content, and even if there hasn't increased the carbohydrate content, I could not recommend this product because it doesn't mix with water. And one of the big advantages of whey is that it's very easy to mix, and this product now is inferior. So if you've been consuming Lambert's, if I recommended it to you in any videos and you've been consuming it, just have a look at the label and see whether it has got this changed formula. If it has, apologise for that. I no longer recommend it. I would recommend, like me, that you look for a different whey protein.